Hey, what's happening, buddy? This is Hayden Adams with A Designer Who Codes. I've got this contact form that I built in a previous video, and it looks good, but I wanted to actually function, and when someone fills this out, I want an email response as a part of it. Not only that, but I want this to be super sleek for the user to make this as easy as possible. So what I have as a result, if I fill this out, what does it get as a result is one automated message that says, sweet, message received. And if I go into my email, what I get as a result is this email that says, hey, here's what they had to say. Hayden Adams, Steve at johndoe.com. And this is a test. And also said, reply to Steve at johndoe.com. I'm going to show you how you can turn a basic contact form into one super sleek working contact form. In this video, I'm going to go over a couple things. First, we're going to actually get the form to work and send email. The second part is I'm going to add a honeypot to catch spammers. And after that, I can turn off the captcha to make it a smoother process for the end user. After that, we'll clean up the email that comes through. And finally, we'll add a success page that tells the user, hey, success is here, rock and roll, Scooby-Doo. All right, so what I have here is a basic form design I built in Bootstrap 5. The reason why I use Bootstrap 5 is I want to make sure that it is 100% responsive, so no matter who uses it on a mobile, tablet, or desktop, they can use this form. So this is why I have it all in HTML and HTML only. So to get started, I have to use some sort of email software online in order for me to email this form. I'm going to use the tool, if I bring it over, called Formspree, because this is a great free tool that we get to use to then send responses from our form. I'm going to copy this action where it says form. I'm going to copy the action and I'm going to copy method post into this project. This project already has the form tag already set to go. So what I can do is I'm going to drop it down here. I'm going to change your at email.com. I'm going to enter in my email address, which is going to be Hayden at Nautilus Designs. I'll use my other email address to make sure this is working. So I'm going to save this project. I'm going to refresh the page and test to see if I can send this through Formspree. I'll say Hayden Adams and I'll do John at johndoe.com. And we'll say this is a test. And like magic, if I hit submit, oh, unable to submit the form. Make sure you open this page through a web server. So I have to add this HTML document onto a web server. The great part about it is GitHub provides web server through GitHub pages. So I'm going to head over to GitHub. I'm going to bring this over here and I'll create a new repository. And in here, I'm going to call this one the form submit demo by saying form submit demo to my GitHub account. You can use whatever web server you want. I'm just going to use GitHub pages because it's easy to refresh the page over and over again. I'm going to come down and say create repository. And right here, what I can do is I can upload an existing file really easily through GitHub. So I can drag and drop my project, which is super cool. I'm going to drag and drop this file. It's going to add it in. I don't need to make any notes since it's just my project. Commit the changes, process the file, and almost like magic, we have our file uploaded. So by default, GitHub is not really a web server until we make it a web server. I'm going to head over to settings, and down here under pages, I'm going to say main, and I'll click on save. What this will do is this will turn my GitHub repository into a website. I'm going to command click and see if this kicks into gear. This sometimes takes a few minutes to get started. And here it is, hello world. So let me try this one more time and see if this works. I'll say Hayden Adams, and we'll do John at johndoe.com. And we'll do this is a test. Hit submit. Hey, oh, check my email. So what I have to do is I have to activate my email for this to work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my email, and what I get as a result is I get this email that says, hey, thanks for using Formspree. You are one click away from activating this form. I'm going to click on activate form, and through Formspree, the form is activated. Now, one other thing to notice, what I can also do is I can use a random string to replace your naked email address in the action attribute of your form. How awesome is that? So I'm going to copy this long string. And what I'm going to do before I forget is I'm going to come over to my index file and take out my email address and drop in this random string. As long as you keep this form on this web server, as it shows right up here, it's going to know that that email address is attached to this address of your website. I'm going to save this file just to keep it the right way. And I'm going to now go ahead and resubmit the information. So if I close it, oh, actually I already did. So let me do it one more time to make sure it's working. So what I'll do is I'm going to go back and I'll reopen Hello World. Contact me. Oh, you know what I have to do also is I have to re-upload that file. So I did change the action. So what I'm going to do is back in GitHub, I'm going to add a file and upload files. And from here, what I'm going to do is go to index.html, drag and drop, and commit the changes. The reason also why I like using GitHub is in case I want to see if I did something or not, I can double check my code as I'm going along in this project. We can see the code has changed inside line 17. What I'll do is come back. I have Hello World here. I'm going to refresh the page to make sure it is kicked into gear. And I'll do this one more time. Hayden, there we go. And we'll do John at johndoe.com. This is a test. Now when I submit, what should happen, oh, I'm almost there. I haven't got it quite yet. I have to help fight spam. So I'm going to say, I'm not a robot. And perfect, this form was submitted successfully, return the original site. And like magic, what I get as a result is an email that says, hey, someone just submitted your form on hayden5.github.io. But there's no information yet down below. That's because we haven't connected these fields. So if we go back to our page, we haven't told these fields what to say. So Formspree submits them properly. So what I have to do is I have to give them some names because right now they're nameless. If I come back to the index file, I'm going to search for first name. So this first name has a label first name and the input type text and class. But after the class, I'm going to add name equals name. Even though it says first name, Formspree wants one form to be called name. And since I have broken it up from first name and last name, after the class down here, I'm going to say name equals last, I'll do a capital letter, last name. And then down below for the email, I have to say name equals email. And we have one more field, actually two more. We've got the phone number. And I will say name equals phone. And the comments down below, I'm going to say name comments questions. That way, Form Submit will know what the name of the fields are when they're being submitted. I'm going to save this again. And once again, I'm going to have to go back up into GitHub and add a file, upload files, and drag and drop the changed file. Again, I have to work off of a web server, otherwise this won't work at all. That's the power of GitHub Pages. I'm going to commit the changes. And like magic, maybe, taking its sweet time for this file. What did I do? There we go. Apparently 5 extra lines of code just totally threw it into a tizzy. I can double check to make sure it's there. And we have name, name, and name. Now let's test it one more time. What I am going to do is I'm going to come over to Chrome just to make sure that those changes have been kicked into gear. It does take at times a few minutes to kick in when you just drag and drop it. So if I refresh it, as I can see, while in GitHub the changes have been made, it's still taking a few minutes longer to kick into this one. And after a few refreshes of the page, takes about 1 or 2 minutes to actually refresh, I can see the name is in my source code, so we know that this page has been updated. I'm going to say first name is going to be Hayden. Last name is Adams. We'll say John at johndoe.com. And this is a test. Now when I submit, almost there, I still got to fight this spam. And the form was submitted successfully. Now when I come back into my email, I can close this one up. What I get as a result, if I bring this one over, here we go, is now it says name, Hayden, last name, Adams. I emailed from John at John Doe. I didn't put a phone number in, so it's going to be left empty. And this is a test. What I'm going to do later on is notice these underscores, they kind of bug me. I'm going to fix that later on in the code. But what really bugs me is that captcha. Because if I don't need it, I don't want it. Because to a user standpoint, I want this to be as seamless as possible. In order to take the captcha out, I have to add a honeypot. So what I want to do is inside the code, and a honeypot is designed to catch spammers who read just the code and nothing but the code. So under the form row G3, G's for gutters in Bootstrap 5, I'm going to add something brand new right here. I'm going to add a honeypot. And I'm going to say in this case, honeypot, just so I note what's going on. So what the honeypot's going to do is it's going to catch any spammers that go into my code and try to fill the form out. So I'm going to say input, and in the input, the type's going to be text. And then I'm going to say is the name is going to be quote underscore honey. And to make it invisible to the normal user, I'm going to say style equals display colon none. That way the normal user won't see this project when it comes, or this field when it comes to the actual project. If I save it, if I come back to my basic, let's go find that file. There it is. You can see it's nowhere to be found. So the honeypot needs to go first. And then after the honeypot, I can take off the captcha, because to me, the spammers almost always go through the honeypot. So the captcha is not that quite relevant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say disable captcha. I'll just make a note of what this is. And I'll say input type equals hidden for this one. Name will be underscore captcha. And the value of this field is going to be false. That way we can turn off that captcha to make it a little bit easier for the user, since we've added an extra layer underneath the hood. Let's save this and re-upload it to GitHub Pages. So I'm going to come back to GitHub, come over here, go back to my code, add a file, upload the file, becoming a little repetitious. Let's see how fast this one goes now. Commit the changes, processing the files. That went a lot faster. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. I'm going to move Hello World over here, which is my desktop version. And what I'll do is I'm going to come back over, and I don't need that one. Where did my URL go? There it is. Moving around too fast. Now we're online. And again, I am going to check the code just to make sure that that code has come through. If I refresh the page, it shows honeypot and disable captcha. I'm good to go on this project through GitHub Pages. Refresh the page just to make sure it's working. And what I can do again is say Hayden. There we go. John at John Doe. johndoe.com. This is a test. When I submit it, notice how I didn't get the captcha that showed up for someone to click. This form was submitted successfully, returned to the original site. And like magic, what I get as a result is this email that shows up as Hayden Adams, John at John Doe. There's no phone number, and this with the capital H to boot showed up as well. So I'm able to send people through this a lot easier without having to worry about the captcha part. But I'm a stickler for design, and this little underscore is driving me crazy where it says last underscore name and comments underscore questions. That has to do with the form submit using a space as an underscore. So what I want to do is I want to fix that on my code just so it has a little extra cleanup going on right here. Inside my code, if we then come back down here, when I have a space, it defaults to an underscore. So I'm going to add a non-breaking space, or in this case, I'm going to say ampersand NB SP semicolon. That's code for a space. So if you think about it, 5 pieces of code equals 1 space. If I copy this along with last name, I'm going to come down to comments questions and paste the non-breaking space as well right here. What I get as a result, if I go through the process one more time, add the file, upload the file, and we'll drag and drop, commit the changes. It's going a lot faster. That one upload just seemed to take a little bit longer for some reason. So while we're right here, let's go back and we will copy, making sure I get the right URL. And I'm going to hit Command Option U to make sure I see the code, just making sure that code has changed and the last NBSP name is there. So I'm going to add the non-breaking spaces into the code just so it shows up in the email. And what I get as a result, I'm going to say Hayden Adams John at johndoe.com. Just a test with no spaces, no actually underscores. There we go. When I click on submit, what I get now as a result, come on email, just taking its sweet time for a second. Now I get that space with no underscore, and the same with the comments and questions. Perfect. We're almost done. The last thing I want to do here is I want to add a success page, because to me, this little form submit looks good, but I want my own version of a success page. So inside my code, I'm going to add a direction to the success page. So at the very top, where all of my little notes are, after disable captcha, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say input, and in here I'll say type equals hidden, so no one sees it. And in here, the name is going to be underscore next. And after that, I'm going to say a value. Now, what's the value going to be? This is the long URL of your website. You can't just type in something like success, as it's not going to work. So in this case, my website, if I think about it, if I come over to GitHub Pages, is hayden5.github.io/formsubmitdemo. I'm going to use that in the value, and then I'm going to say success.html. Now I have to create a success page as well. So what I'll do is I'm going to save this index page, and I'm going to come down to my Finder and duplicate the index to say success. What I like to do a lot for a contact page or an index page is basically take out the form and replace it with some sort of message. So let's just do a little cleanup on aisle 5 up here. Uh-oh, what did I do? Oh, I know I did it wrong. Making sure I should always have things in place. So I just made one critical error, as I like to have my page up, but I went too fast too soon. I didn't close this input. So if I come back over here, hit the greater than symbol, refresh the page, whew, crisis averted. I always make sure I like to save it and look at it before I duplicate it. That being said, we're taking the form out anyways, so that error message is going to go away. I'm going to come down, and what I want to do is I want to take out everything from form to close form. So I'm going to scroll down until I find that close form, and I'm going to write in a p tag after contact me, I'll say success. We will get back to you very, very soon. So what I get as a result of this page is not the index anymore, but I have it set up so it's going to go to success.html. It'll look the same with that big contact me, but it's going to say success, we'll get back to you very, very soon. by adding where'd it go? The value of that location, I know it's going to work. So we have to upload both files now to GitHub. So what I'll do is come back over here. One more time, I'm going to add the files or upload the files. I'm going to drag both the index and the success in here. And when I commit the changes, process both the files, it shouldn't take very long. We're all set to go. And what I'll double check is do a little extra cleanup, get rid of a couple of these tabs. For one more right here. Again, I want to make sure that that did refresh successfully. So I want to double check. And there it is. Oh, you know what I should probably do? I'll do it later. But I should have made a note to say that this is essentially the success message link. Cool. It's working. So now I want to refresh the page and do one more time. I'm going to say Hayden Adams, and we'll do john@johndoe.com. And this is a test. When I submit, voila, no captcha, no automated message. I created my own contact success message on my page. And like magic, what I get one more time, if I bring over this email, is I get a submission to my email address that says all of this. Two things to note before we finish up. If I come back to the index page, make sure that you have the word required on the name and the email. Those are the two pieces of information that Form Submit needs. So don't forget the word required on the name and email. If you want to know how I built this contact form, I have a separate video focusing on Bootstrap 5 and contact form design right here. I'll also put a link in the description below for the source code if you want to download this file. As always, I'm Hayden Adams with A Designer Who Codes.